And welcome to Geopolitical Trends, where truth matters. Very excited to be with you on this January 29th. The end of the month is here already. So, anyway, got an interesting topic to talk to you about. Of course, I'm going to just provide an overall because there is a lot involved in this. I am very familiar with the country, Jordan, that is because there is some, it's still classified. I can't discuss this kind of stuff. You all know how the law and so forth. But there is a reason why they comment on statements coming out of Washington in that way. So I'm going to provide some insights here. Then I'll go on to the other location and detail more with you. So, but before I'll do this, let me go, as I always do, say thank you to all of you. So to those who don't like it, get over it, man. Get over it. So being grateful and graceful, it's always a good trait to have. It's a good trait to have. So I was raised that way, to always express gratitude. So thank you all for being here. Let me see who is here. Red B, good to see you. Samantha Garvey Charles, good to see you. Winner Jasmine, good to see you. I have a niece. Her name is Jasmine. So Dilip Shah, good to see you. Jim J, good to see you. Who else here? Let me see. Jimmy Jonga, good to see you. Willie Holman, as always. Taiwan Still, as always. Franny, good to see you. You wrote, I don't know if you saw it or not, but Biden is being sued by Palestinian and Palestinian American in California. Yes, I'm aware of that. I'm following it up. A lawsuit was filed, indeed, in state of California. And I intend to keep up an eye on that. Thank you, Franny, for sharing that. Muslim Revert, good to see you. Francis Tango, Ramperlands. So good to see you, Ramperlands. You wrote my comments. I'm sorry, got deleted 3 times. Where? On right here on this platform. Yeah, I won't be surprised. You don't know why. So anyway, guys, good to see you as always. Let me jump into the topic here, then tell you what it is about, first of all. And this way, for those who might not know, the U.S., 3 U.S. service members were killed yesterday in a location. Let's just start with that. In a location that is right on the cusp of a border between Jordan and Syria. Of course, the statements coming out of the Pentagon saying they were in Jordan. There is a reason for why they're saying this, and I'm going to provide you some insights as to all this. So 24 others were injured. Those are part of the U.S. presence in that particular base. So now the legitimate questions we ought to ask, and I know some of you guys put some comments regarding the post that when I put the questions, some of you put, one guy, I never see that name before, well, this is kind of like a stupid question of sort. No. There is nothing so stupid. The stupid is when you don't ask the questions. So if you can refrain from that kind of language, that will be great. So otherwise, you contribute something of substance to this community. I will greatly appreciate it. So here's the question, guys. That's something just to consider. Okay. That's the attack now on U.S. forces, which, by the way, you've been noticing it's escalating one step at a time. Is this a signal of the widening conflicts in the region? Because all of a sudden, in Washington, they are pushing, neocons, the hidden hand, are pushing Biden to retaliate against Iran. We all know what it means. Ain't going to happen. Because here is what I'm going to tell you right from on the bat. Most likely the U.S. will not react to all this. 3 dead, oh well. That's how they get. Because they don't know what Iran has. They don't know how Iran will react. So this is why you're going to just say in hypes. Those in Washington who wants a war with Iran, this is an opportunity for them to push that narrative. But nonetheless, we're still going to have to ask a question. Is this going to widen the conflict regarding the Gaza stuff? It's going to go beyond that. Second thing, is the U.S. prepared to enter another conflict in West Asia or in the region for that matter? And that was one of the questions that I put. And most of you, about 72% saying yes. And I am wondering what led you to reach that conclusion. And again, it was just a question. because aren't we going to learn from history of what took place, let's say, in Afghanistan or even in Iraq? So that was the reason why I asked that question. And third question is, will the American people and now you start to see the split happening in the US society. I live here. I hear the conversations. I talk to people. There is a split emerging in American society, which could lead to something very, very dangerous. You all know what I mean by this. I am going to talk about this on the other location because we can talk openly. And the question with this is, will the American people support this endeavor? Oh, let's expand more conflicts in the Middle East. We've had enough of this. And especially when you take this into consideration, what's going on, the standoff that is going on right now between my home state of Texas, and the federal government. Oh, yeah. You don't hear. It's very staying under the radar because corporate media is not going to disclose this. They don't want to anyway. So those are some basic questions we ought to think about as I'm going to talk about this topic here in a limited time, then go to the other location. And speaking of the other location, here is the link because I want to share the link with you. All right there, guys. And I am going to put it in the chat box for you so you can have that one. And please share it with others who might not know how to get to it. Copy the link. And I'm going to share it with you right here. There we go. I think it went. Let me see. Let me make sure here. Yes, it is on the chat box right there. So, FC05, you are not from Texas. You are not. I know who you are. So keep it civil here, okay? That's my warning. All right, let me talk about. As I said, for those who did not know the background, the 3 U.S. servicemen died yesterday, and 24 were injured during a drone attack on their base 22. And I'll get into all this as we move forward. So now the incompetent Biden is pushed to retaliate. He's being pushed to retaliate, which we all know what it means, because there were a lot of entities inside Washington. They wanted a war with Iran so bad. And of course, who's this war is going to serve? Here's a question for you. If hypothetically we know, who is the beneficial of this war? Can you guys type in the chat box? Let me just see. Yeah, because I like it. There will only be one beneficial for all this. You got it, Chanel. You got it, Chanel from Washington State, if I remember. You got it too. ADHD, right? You guys got it. That is the whole reason for why. And again, it won't be a smart thing to do. So let me do headlines, a tour around the world quickly. Then we'll go and jump into our conversation. So let me share one with you pertaining to my home state. Check this out, guys. Yeah, we are waving the cessation flag now. You all know what I mean. So Texas is waving secession from the United States. In other words, we don't want to be affiliated with the federal government. We want to have our own country. And I think, as a Texan, it's our prerogative. I understand. I used to teach government. I understand about something called the Supremacy Clause. Supremacy Clause means basically that the federal laws supersede those of the state. So, in this case, our own affairs inside our borders, we deal with it, not the federal government. Well, guess what? The border issue is our issue because it's just down south from us here. So we want to deal with it. Now, the government, the federal government is saying, no, you can't block the border. You have to let people in. No, we won't. If we are to say we're a nation of laws, I know I am not against immigrants. I'm an immigrant myself. All of us are immigrants in this country. Tell me who is American here, and I will challenge you on that. Nobody is. If we are to see this, the land belongs to the Indians. But we are a nation of laws also. You go through the proper channels for this. The incompetent Biden using this for some other reasons. And by the way, guess what I found out, guys? Did you know that this issue of the border one, do you know where it was hatched? The whole plan? It was hatched in a base in Panama, directed by some entities fermenting all this. This is why. So now you're seeing the escalation dispute between the state of Texas and the federal government over immigration and border management now is leading to some really, and I use the term, heightened fears. Yeah, heightened fears of civil war. I believe it is just a matter of time. And I will talk a little bit more detail on the other location here. And this is why the state of Texas now, cessation from the federal government is now sort of, a lot of us are talking about it here for our state. Some other states are supporting the state of Texas in its stand in blocking the flow of illegal immigrants. So rightly so is our state. We'll decide. Here's the next one, and this one is brief. It's not a laughing matter, but it gives you an idea of where things are. This is a former British commander, army commander. So, actually not just one, by the way. I checked the story. He wasn't just one. There were few, but those are formers. You know how it is. When you work in a government, you are not bound by disclosing whatever till you leave the government. So now here is what those former commanders say. And this is a British naval asset there. The picture you're looking at. Our warships lack firepower to attack the HI group, which is very embarrassing. So British warships cannot attack HI targets on the ground because they lack firepower. And as a matter of fact, some of those commanders describe this as a scandal. Okay, now here's the one thing I'm going to share with you. It's declassified. The leaks of that information to me became public information, so I'm going to disclose it. I'm not not going to share it with you. It was a memo inside the Pentagon that was few months ago, within the time frame of 24 months. So you all know what happened in 24 months with the Ukraine issue. So the memo, and I bet you this, guys, it was leaked intentionally. The conversation was among us in Washington, in the Pentagon. We came to, when I say we, I'm referring to the Pentagon, the U.S. government, or America for that matter. Citizens do not know, they don't care for this kind of stuff. We came to the conclusion that if Britain get involved in a conflict with Russia, they will run out of ammo in one afternoon. One afternoon, they won't have any ammo left. Let alone the manpower, they don't have any. So basically, the UK will be wiped out. And even, knowing what I know, even before you get into the conflict, Russia has this type of nukes, missiles, that will be time before even the UK reacts. It will wipe out London, Birmingham, Manchester, you name it. You got the idea. So even back then, it was leaked that saying UK military can fight. They can't. And now with this picture here, it highlights to you where the issue is. And this, by the way, was also reported by their own. It's the Sunday Telegraph. That's the one that reported this. I found it very. This is why now you're seeing UK landed its name only in support of the US. It's the US that is carrying out or carried out those attacks against the HI. So that is what one thing, and I'll detail a little bit more about this one here. It is one of the disturbing, to me it's disturbing. This is a university in Germany. Very disturbing. And by the way, this has nothing to do just with Germany. It is a reflection across the collective West. Starting with my own country. Academia is as corrupted as any other entity. I'll say it straightforward. I don't shy away from this. So, here is what's going on with this. Now, you have even universities now are repressing or suppressing, if I may use the term, the voices that are in support of Palestine. We've seen it here in Harvard. Heck, the president of Harvard was pushed out. And all this, all this, why did it happen? It happened because a scholar from Egypt is an Egyptian academician. I did post it for you guys in the community tab. Okay. Now, this individual, his name is, let me get his name. His name is Khatib, Al-Khatib. So, Taqadam, he's a researcher. He's an Egyptian researcher. So let me just quote this for you because I had to translate it from its original language. There are some terminology I'm not going to use here. It says, please tell the people, intellectuals, university professors, political elites, and the media in Germany that surviving the Holocaust does not give you the rights to embark on another. So, and this was a tweet, by the way. So this is why I want to just to brief. I'm going to talk more detail about it when I get off on the other location. So next one, you all know who this guy is, Liar K. I call him Liar K. Yeah, he's a Liar K. So shame on him, by the way, because he was a former Navy officer, higher ranking officer, couldn't uphold the ethical standards that goes with. Just because you don't wear your uniform, I don't wear the uniform anymore. Does that mean I'll have to become unethical? No. Shame on Kirby. If you are listening to me, I tell you, man to man, I tell you, shame on you. Because you couldn't take stand when it matters. You could say to your boss, no, I'm not lying. Go get another job, or you don't even need a job. You are retired. You got enough pension to live on. So anyway, here's the story. White House confirms no change in policy on arming Israel. So you all can read between the lines, right? And I'm going to detail more about this one later on. Now, these last two, I'm going to just share a picture, and it's disturbing, but we're not going to talk here. By the way, those two you're looking at, those are two brothers. It's very sad. It's the next story I will share with you later on. The same thing with these demonstrations that's taking place, not only in Austria, even though Australia has agreed with the Czech Republic they agreed to not allowing ceasefire after the European voted on it. Yeah. Anyway, I'll detail all this when we go on to the other location. All right, let's get on here with, and by the way, speaking of demonstrations, for my viewers from Canada, I don't know if some of you are from Canada. You all know what's going on in Canada, right? Can anybody tell me, guys? My fellow Canadians, can you tell me what's going on in Canada? It's with the decision that was just made. and I'll detail more on. For now, I just wanted to share a few things. OMC, no, don't be. I know what you mean, OMC. You are a citizen. You are not the government. So when we say Canada, we are referring to the Canadian government, not the people. I lived in Canada. I am very familiar with Canadians, people. Wonderful. The same thing as Australians, the same thing as some other race. It's the damn government. So don't, I know what you mean. Same thing for me. When I say, look what my government is doing. We are part of, you know what I mean. So no. But anyway, I wanted to share this with you guys because now the federal court in Canada, which means the highest, the Supreme, their equivalency is Supreme Court for us, have now decided that what the policies of the dictator Trudeau did regarding the Emergency Act, you all remember this, right? It's illegal. It is illegal. So it behooves now GoFundMe to release the $7 million that belongs to the truckers. Those are donations from the people who supported the truckers. And yet GoFundMe is still holding that. Now you know why I didn't want to do for the Asia trip, guys. I didn't want to do it on GoFundMe. And thanks to some of you guys who alerted me to this, I did not know. So thank you for that. So I just wanted to share this with you. I'm going to do an entire video just on this one, on the other location. So, all right, let's get on our topic here. I know it takes me a while to get onto the topics, right? But hey, that's why people needs to be patient a little bit, you know. So, and I know you guys are, because otherwise you won't be here. And I'm very grateful to you for not giving up on me for that. So, all right, let's get into the conversation about really what took place now in the border location. But before I'll do this, I need to share with you, we did Syria before. Now I'm going to do the geography on Jordan and the history on Jordan, because you need to understand this one to have a better or to acquire a better understanding as to why Jordan behaves the way it behaves. Like, as I said earlier, there are some very sensitive aspects that exist in Jordan. We are part of it. Unfortunately, I'm aware of it. I was in a government. Unfortunately, I can't disclose that. And you all understand and respect that, because I can't. I'll be breaking the law. I can't. But to put this within this context, you need to think in terms of why the reports coming out of Washington saying it was Jordan. It was on Jordanian soil, but not Syrian soil. So this is what I'm going to get into after I'll do the geography for you guys and the history, because it's very important to understand this one here. All right, let's see a little bit of geography here. I've never been in Jordan. I was close by. I was going to go for a specific task in there, and I was called out to the last minute. Literally last minute, my boss called me, Mr. Oh, don't go. I say, okay, sir, whatever. But I'm very familiar with their special ops. We used to train them. So I kind of, we used to call them the King's Boys, because those weren't special ops for the people. Those were for the monarchy. So wonderful people at the same time. Very, 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 very wonderful. So, all right, let me share the screen and we go into addressing a little bit. No, this is the base. That's not the, sorry. Then we'll go into a little bit of history and I'll brief you or brief you. Not brief you, give you an brief assessments, that is. Then we go into our conversation. After that, move on to the other one. So Jordan, the one you're looking at right now. Oh, let me make the screen bigger, because there we go. Bigger screen so you guys can see. So Jordan is a very, very, very small entity. And it's almost like half of its country is like a rugged terrain. So, and it's a country that is located in South West Asia, most like the likes of Iran, Saudi Arabia, Syria, Lebanon, and all the rest, Iraq, and so forth. It is located in the rocky desert of the northern Arabian Peninsula, in the northern and eastern hemispheres of the earth. It is a landlocked. Syria is a landlocked country, bordered by 5 nations. I don't know if you guys can see that on the map. Yeah, you might see some there. To the north, you have Syria. To the east, you have Iraq. To the south and southeast, you have both Saudi Arabia. I'm sorry. To the south, you have Saudi Arabia. And to the southeast, you have Israel and Palestine to the west. You're all familiar with the Dead Sea, right? What is something the Dead Sea is known for? Let me see if you guys are familiar with it. What will happen to you if you are in the Dead Sea swimming? So just type in that in the chat box. I like to, once again, I don't assume. I just want to share this with you for you to know, guys. It's very, very interesting. You're correct, Jack Robert. You will float. It's because the high salt. You're absolutely correct, guys. You got it. You're absolutely correct. So the Dead Sea is located along the western border of the country. And there is another location there called Al-Aqaba, or in English, pronounce it Aqaba. In Arabic, the Ain is very profound. You pronounce Al-Aqaba. The only port of Jordan is located in the southwestern part of the country, along the coast of the Gulf of Aqaba and the Red Sea. Of course, its population is only about, give or take, 11 million people. Jordan is considered the 11th most populous Arab country. Amman, don't confuse this with Oman. The pronunciation is very different. Amman is the capital of Jordan. Oman is a country in the Gulf. So Amman, the capital and largest city of Jordan, is located on the East Bank Plateau and serves as the country's economic, political, and commercial centers, as well as one of the Arab most cultural capitals. That's what's interesting about Jordan. Now, from a historical perspective, and I looked around, and I kind of, by now, I learned where to look for really concise information pertaining this. And I came across an article written by Kelly Sipensky. I hope I pronounced the last name correctly. So I give credit to Kelly for this. And I collaborated the information, fact-checked it with other sources, and it sort of, it matched. So Jordan is known as the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan because it's a monarchy. So it's a monarchy in the Middle East, the likes of Saudi Arabia. Of course, you have Kuwait and some others, but Jordan is known the likes of Morocco and Saudi Arabia. Its government, usually the Jordanian, tries to play a major role in neighboring countries because Jordan has always been sort of respected and so forth. But why is that? It's because you have to go back to the presence of the British and the French, way back, and even back to 1946, when the United Nations approved the British mandate sort of has to come to an end. This is why you notice in Jordan, they speak English. In Lebanon and Syria, they speak French. So the languages, speaking of languages, the official language in Jordan is Arabic. When I say Arabic, I am referring to MSA, Modern Standard Arabic, which means if you speak Modern Standard Arabic, by the way, guys, you can communicate in any Arab countries, except when you start speaking dialects, because each country has its own dialects. But English is the most common used second language and is widely spoken by middle and upper class Jordanians. Now, the history of Jordan. And again, this is based on the archaeological evidence. demonstrates that humans have lived in what is now Jordan for at least 90,000 years. You heard me correct. 90,000 years. And this evidence includes, for example, Paleolithic tools such as knives, hand axes, and scrapers made of a flint and basalt. Jordan, sort of how it moved forward, it was some sort of part of it were a fertile crescent that goes way back. And this is why it was one of the best known regions in the world with agriculture. And this, by the way, originated back during the Neolithic period, which goes between 8,500 and 4,500 BCE, before Common Era. And that's what the people back then have domesticated, for example, grains, peas, lentil, goats, and later cats to protect their stored foods from rodents. So now fast forward to, of course, I'm not going to get into the Jordanians' written history that begins with the biblical time. I'm not going to get into that. What I would like to get into right away is during the first Muslim dynasty that was created, which is the Umayyad Empire, 661 to 750 CE, Common Era, that is. And this was after the Prophet Muhammad of Islam died. So, and this included, which by the way, this dynasty included modern day Jordan, by which Amman became a major provincial city of the Umayyads region. That's how go back for. Then you move into the Abbasid Empire, 750 to 1258. What happened with the Abbasids? They moved their capital away from Damascus to Baghdad to be closer to the center of their expanding empire. Which means what? Jordan fell into obscurity. In other words, you don't hear much about Jordan. This is why Baghdad is known, Damascus is known historically when it comes down to West Asia or the Middle East, that is. Then comes, what comes after that? The Mongols. Mongols brought down the Abbasid Caliphate in 1258. And Jordan came under their rule. They were followed by the Crusaders, the Ayyubids, and the Mamluks in turn. And in 1517, the Ottoman Empire, conquered what is now Jordan. Speaking of Ottoman Empire, last time I made a mistake. I kind of misspoke. You know, I do know that the Ottoman ruled for 600 years, and I mentioned 400. I was looking at another number pertaining to something else, but it's my mistake, and I bear the. I just wanted to correct the record for it. So under the Ottoman rule, Jordan enjoyed enjoyed some, but not the same way other locations. And fast forward, when the Ottoman collapsed, the League of Nations assumed mandate over its Middle Eastern territories. You look at Britain and France; those two agreed to divide up the region. Yeah, the whole tensions in the Middle East today, it traces back to Britain and France. That's just the way it is. So the mandatory powers with France, they divided that with mandatory powers, which means what? Meaning France taking over Syria and Lebanon, and Britain taking over Palestine, which include Transjordan, because Jordan used to be known also as Transjordan. In 1922, Britain assigned a Hashemite lord, his name is Abdullah I, to govern Transjordan. His brother Faisal was appointed king of Syria and later was moved to Iraq. What is the problem with this, guys? The problem is that the British assigned someone. The same thing we are doing today. I look at it in some countries, and I've been traveling. I was inside the government. I dealt with some negotiations regarding the appointments of some of the so-called leaders that we appoint. Why? Because they're going to serve the interest of whomever appointed them. Jordan is no different. So King Abdullah I back then acquired the country with only about 200,000 citizens. Approximately half of them were nomadic. And on May 22, 1946, the United Nations abolished the mandate for Transjordan and it became a sovereign state. So 1946, that's when Transjordan officially became independent and opposed the partition of Palestine and creation of Israel 2 years later. 1948, the Arab-Israeli War, Jordan joined that war. And Israel prevailed, and the first of several floods of Palestinian refugees moved into Jordan. Fast forward to 1950, Jordan annexed the West Bank. Yeah, they did. And East Jerusalem, a move that most other nations refused to recognize. And in 1951, a Palestinian took or neutralized King Abdullah I. So I'm just using the term. You know what the term is. So that's what it is. During a visit, King Abdullah I was visiting Al-Aqsa Mosque, which were the excuse me, where the whole issue now between Israel and Palestine, because Jerusalem or where the mosque in Jerusalem means a lot to the Muslims. So is to the Christians. So is to the Jews. There's no deny about it. So why they killed King Abdullah I is because whomever did it was angry about Abdullah's land grab of the Palestinian West Bank. Has nothing to do with anything, because King Abdullah I took the land against the will of the people. This is one thing to tie it to what's going on right now in that part of the world. Israel needs to think that the Palestinians aren't going to go anywhere. They're going to fight till the end. That's just the way it is. So, fast forward to 1967. In May, Jordan signed a mutual defense treaty with Egypt. 1 month later, Israel obliterated the Egyptian, Syrian, Iraqis, and Jordanian militaries in the 6-day war and took the West Bank and East Jerusalem from Jordan. And this is why, and I am very familiar from this point forward about what King Hussein, the current king's father, when he agreed to sign a treaty with Israel in return for some land, except for the Golan Heights. And that's how it moved forward. So fast forward to 1991, between 1991. What happened between 1990 and 1991? Yeah, something happened in the Middle East. A major event. Let me see if you guys can type it in the chat box. And once again, this is just for the sake of conversation, no more, no less. Something very major happened. Just remember, 1990, 1991. Which, by the way, Gulf 1, you got it, OMC? Gulf 1. I always call them Gulf 1, Gulf 2. Gulf 2 is the invasion of Iraq. So Gulf 1, that is correct, which, by the way, we need to have a conversation about that. You all know the background story, I hope. So I'm not disclosing it here, but if you are interested, I'll be happy, guys, to do it for you guys. So anyway, Jordan supported at that time Saddam Hussein, which caused the breakdown in U.S.-Jordanian relations. The U.S. withdrew aid from Jordan because Jordan received about, if I'm not mistaken, about 1.5 or 1.3, somewhere around that number, $billion from the U.S. annually. So by the time we withdrew this funding, Jordan had economic distress. And to get back in international good graces of the United States, Jordan signed in 1994 a treaty with Israel, ending almost 50 years of declared war. So basically, we bought Jordan for 1 billion, 1.4. The same thing we're doing with Egypt, because it's not about helping those countries or whatever. It's about maintaining the peace with Israel. That's all it is. So, 1999, King Hussein died of lymphatic cancer. He was right here in the U.S. He was in what is that clinic in Minneapolis, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, I draw blank on the name of the clinic. It's well known. He was here. His wife is Jihan. No, not Jihan. His wife is an American, by the way, or was, or still, whatever. So, and he was succeeded by his eldest son, King Abdullah II, who is now the king. He was educated right here in the U.S. I'm very familiar with his bio. When I used to work in Washington, we used to take a look at the bios of the head of states. So, except that the King Abdullah turns out to be just another wishy-washy type. His concern is not about the Palestinian whatever. His concern about ensuring the monarchy stays alive. And this is now why we're going to have the conversation as to why the U.S. is saying, let me stop this one, why the U.S. is saying, well, wait a minute, this incident happened in Jordan. Now, wow, where time goes, guys. I just barely touch on the topic yet. So, but here's the thing. The U.S. announced now that those 3 soldiers that passed away and the 24, they were attacked on Jordanian soil. There is a reason why the Pentagon will have to say that. If they say Syria, because once you look at the location, let me share a picture with you. This location, this base. And what you're looking at, guys, this is Al-Tanf. Al-Tanf base is a U.S. military base located in an American occupied part of Homs, which is in Syria. It's so close to Jordan. So, and I'll detail more when I get into the other location. For now, suffice it for you to know the reason why the U.S. is coming with this, because it makes a justification that, oh, we were attacked in a country that was inviting us. So it looks good on the international stage. That's one. Second, it does not put you at odds with international law. It's because Jordan, we give them money, so they can't say no to the U.S. presence. Otherwise, we'll cut off the aid. That is why, as a matter of fact, when the Pentagon stated this, Jordanian government came right away and said, no, it didn't happen on a U.S. soil, on Jordanian soil. Why that is? Because Jordan does not want its own people to know the presence of American forces there. The people in Jordan are already pissed off at the monarchy for not doing anything whatsoever and supporting whatever the West is doing. Why? Because they're getting money in return. That's one. And second, we are protecting the monarchy. That's why we used to train those special ops, like I call them, King's boys. That is the reason. Because if he came out to the whole world that, well, those military base, or the military base that was attacked was in Syria, that's problematic. What are we doing in Syria to begin with? You guys see what I mean, right? This is one of the key of why that is so. And I'm gonna stop right here, and I'm gonna jump onto the other location. Let me once again put the link for you, so you'll see it in the chat box, and I will see you on the other location in about literally no more than 10 minutes, and I'll detail more stuff with you. All right, here is the link, guys, and I will see you soon. And thank you guys for really, once again, thank you for keeping the conversation civil here. I truly, truly appreciate it. So, yeah, Quinn Nor or Nora, you're absolutely correct. Yeah, where is that? Let me check the chat box. Where is that guy who said from Texas? I know he was lying. Yeah, man, stop being, don't be here because you're not from Texas. Like I said earlier, I know who you are. No. That's the person, by the way, who's been saying, I praise dictatorships and criticize my own government. Yeah. So I keep an eye on who's here. So thank you, guys, and I'll see you in the next location. As always, remember, geopolitics impacts your daily life in more ways than one. See you soon. Bye.